I just wanted to welcome everyone to today's LaunchPad webinar. Amalia and myself are here, as well as our guest speaker, Tom Kuthy. He's going to be sharing some really good best business practices in regards to sales and consulting. And we're glad to have Tom today. So as we move forward, we'll have a little bit more information on him. But definitely, he will be joining us today in our webinar. Amalia, any?
Yes, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, and I hope you enjoyed today's articles. And of course, welcome, Tom.
Excellent. So Tom, I guess once we'll do a formal introduction once before we start with you. But thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Okay, excellent. Well, just before we start quickly, we're going to be doing a sound check. So if you can just kindly let us know via chat if you can hear us, that'll be great. So that way we can start. And excellent. Okay, thank you. So it seems that we got. Okay, thank you, everyone. Perfect. So we do have some news to begin before we start our our case study with our special guest Tom. And Amali and I have a few items to discuss in regards to our latest news and articles. It was a bit of a busy week, I would say, in regards to our industry. So there's some really good news that you should be aware of. So we're going to touch base on that. And then Tom's going to share with us some best business practices in regards to prescribing and pricing a digital marketing solution. Now, I know that both are very important in the sales slash consulting process. And sometimes, you know what, whether you are new or an IC with many years of experience, these 2 points, the actual solution prescription, if you will, and the pricing of that solution can sometimes uh, create can stump you, or you can create try to create the best solution, but you may find that you're not sure about it, or you want to bounce off ideas, or you want to you want to use a different tactic to approach it. So Tom will share some of those things with us today, and I hope that today you take some gold nuggets, a few gold nuggets, from today's presentation, and that you can apply them to your everyday business. As Tom does have a lot of experience, so definitely one of the things is that he is talking from source and experience, and that's very important. So anyhow, we'll talk to Tom, and then we'll have some questions as well. Okay, so to begin, I just wanted to share a quick article, a news article, if you will, from Search Engine Watch, and it was in regards to a survey. I think it was approximately 2,000 small, medium-sized companies that participated in this survey. Sorry, and the digital agency Kuthy basically ran this survey pertaining to the post-mobile get-in era. And what they found out in surveying these 2,000 small, medium-sized businesses, definitely they were definitely impacted. Now there was a lot of hoopla, a lot of media coverage online, at least in our industry, and a little bit perhaps over exaggerated. Even the name mobile getting was a little bit exaggerated, and as a result, many business owners perhaps were turned off by this warning, or just saw it as something that wasn't going to impact their business. But as a matter of fact, one of the things that they actually discovered in this survey is that there was a huge decline in Google referral traffic, ultimately impacting the leads that these 2,000 small medium-sized businesses were receiving. So from that group that was actually surveyed, 41% have seen a drop in rankings by at least 3 places, results in drops in traffic as much as 50% in some cases. Now this drop is actually from mobile. Okay, so this is pertaining to mobile rankings, mobile traffic results. So if you have been reviewing your clients' mobile traffic on Google Analytics, you'll notice that in some cases it may be 9%, 10%, or up to 20, 25%, and even in 30 in some cases of their overall traffic coming from mobile and tablet. These companies, or at least 41% of them, actually saw a decrease in rankings, and as much as 50% in some cases. So they were impacted. So because of that, I mean, as a matter of fact, out of these 2,000 SMBs, the majority of them were actually companies that did not have any responsive web design or mobile friendly websites per se, and as a result they were feeling very negative after the mobile algorithm in that sense, and frustrated as well, right? Because they didn't act on the warnings. It's a great opportunity for us. It's something that you can share with your prospects and clients in the matter of the fact that just this simple survey. And I'm pretty sure if we do some research, we'll find that there's other surveys that have taken place where companies that did not make their websites mobile friendly on time were impacted. But this is one of the first surveys that came out, and one of the things that was observed in the survey was the fact that SMBs continue to fail in understanding SEO and e-commerce analytics, and this is the proof of that. That the warning came about probably about since January, mid-January, early February, and as of April 21st, and even today, many companies have not acted upon it. Just to give you an example, we're working with an IC here in Toronto with probably Canada's third or second largest benefit pension company or fund in Canada. And you know what? We started talking to them about this back in November about the Google algorithm probably happening. They didn't listen, and now they're scrambling to get the website into a mobile friendly uh, um, uh, and they still haven't done it, and it's going to take a few months because it's a large site, etc. So that's looking at large enterprises, and imagine now SMBs. So in addition of the business survey, 37% were concerned that the algorithm update would impact their sales, while 44% were not worried due to the majority of their sales coming from desktop. That 44% is a little bit questionable. I do believe that although there are many SMBs still operating or through e-commerce sales are desktop, this is changing as the millennials continue to be more multi users of multi devices, right? So they'll do their tablet, their mobile, etc., and very cross-functional operating it. It's going to definitely be impacted. So something that you may want to share with your clients. I think this is very key. It's actually by an actual digital agency, so it's pretty reputable. Okay, so if some of your clients still believe they haven't been impacted, well, you know what? Here's proof. 2,000 businesses, and 47% or 41% of them saw a major decrease. Amalia, you want to share something with us in regards to Google Maps updates?
Yes, that's correct. I actually came across this article with the newest update. It's brand new update. It's called Send Places from their browser to the iPhone in Google Maps 4.7 update. There's a new capability with basically a really nice way to manage locations across your devices. So the latest version of Google Maps 4.7 for the iOS basically allows users the ability to send locations from the PC to their iDevices. So while you can already save places on your desktop and retrieve from the iPhone, there's another nice cross-device integration for Google Maps as well. So you'll find that after installing the new version of the app, you'll be able to basically you will be prompted to turn on notifications if it's not already on for Google Maps. Then from that browser version of the maps, you'll see a prompt to send to device. From there, you'll be able to get immediate notification that when tapped, it'll take you to the destination within Google Maps. So I thought that was interesting, and it's one of its newest updates. Armando, did you want to add to that?
No, not really. No, I'm not really an iPhone user. So, but definitely something cool that Google Maps is doing and interesting in order to continue to provide
Yeah.
that whole user experience to Google Maps users. Perfect, excellent. Thank you, Amalia. The other thing that we wanted to share with you is a few months ago, we talked a little bit about Google testing the slow to low warning label. It was a very small test, and that was back in February that we talked a little bit about it, where they were displaying red labels on mobile search results. So back in February, the test was that if your site was slow, right, if you recall, there was a red label on the mobile search results page, right, or on mobile search results, and that test obviously died out. But however, I think it was yesterday or today, Andrew Soul blog, which is an independent digital marketing blog, posted a screenshot of what they're testing today. And if you look at it here on the screenshot of of this mobile device. The keyword was or the keyword phrase was Jurassic World trailer, and you can see that YouTube being a Google property, it's already being highlighted or marked as slow to load. So you see this sign here. So there's a warning. So that tells us that they're testing something totally different. It's gonna come again. Page speed is very important. Google has been very has been pushing Google Page Speed Insights. So it's going to be very important that your mobile version of the site should be downloading very fast as well. So if it is slow to load, it may get one of these labels. Again, it's a test, but it is a second test. So in something that we can't just ignore, something that we have to keep an eye on. And I would advise that check your client's mobile device. Your client's websites on a mobile device to see how fast they're downloaded, as well as you can use Google Page Insights or Google Mobile Tester just to see how fast it's downloading. Okay. Now, one thing that I do want to kind of mention in regards to that, because we do get a lot of questions in regards to the slow to load, or there are two components to this aspect of page speed. Well, there's many components, but two primary components. One is server side, and that could be obviously with the hosting company. In some situations, if you're paying for very, I don't want to say the word cheap, but very low price hosting, what ends up happening is that a site gets added to a server that has thousands of other sites, or hundreds of other sites to say the least. And when you have hundreds of other sites in the server, obviously there's limited bandwidth for your website, right? So, or for your client's website, and that can cause warnings of server load time to be very, very slow. So if you're running Google Page Insights, their Page Speed Insights, sorry, keep a lookout into the server side. Then there's the other side, which is the actual website side. And it may be, some of these issues may be due to large images or optimizing images. As well, very key is the actual plugins, specifically with WordPress. So keep an eye on those WordPress plugins. Make sure that before they're added, that you're testing that they're fast to download. They got good reviews, and this may be something that will force these companies that are creating the plugins to make them a little bit faster, because I know that sometimes we inherit these websites that have slow plugins and they really bog down the site. So keep an eye on that as well. The other thing that I want to share quickly with you, this is for our UK ICs. Dan Cobley, who is part of the Google group, and basically he talked a little bit about a recent meeting with the managing director and VP of sales. Her name is Aileen Naughton of Google UK. She actually came out in one of their recent London Technology Week, Tech Week presentations, indicating that as of May, more than half of all UK searches and YouTube video views now happen on mobile. So just confirming that mobile searches have overtaken desktop searches, and also confirming that YouTube video views on mobile have overtaken YouTube videos on desktop. So very interesting about that. As a matter of fact, in May, Google actually reported on its AdWords blog that more searches are happening on mobile devices versus desktop in 10 separate countries, including US and Japan. I wasn't able to get the stats for Canada. I do believe we're very close here in Canada as well. But as of right now, specifically for this announcement, the UK searches are more than half of them are actually performed on mobile. So very interesting. Again, a stat to share with your clients in your presentations if you're in the UK. Obviously, in the US, you can also add those as well. Okay, Amalia.
Yes, so I have another update with Bing. So Bing Ads launches Yahoo click volume numbers, basically to be updated weekly. So in response to the transition under the renegotiated search deal, Bing Ads will release weekly updates on the percentage of Yahoo click volumes it's delivering. So Bing Ads has released new data showing the weekly trending.
Oh, I think we lost Amalia there for a second. So basically, I'll pick it up. Bing Ads, basically what they did, they released data showing weekly trending of Yahoo search ad click volume that is served through Bing Ads. And what they've done, this is all part of their whole renegotiation between Microsoft and Yahoo, right? So they're only going back as of the beginning of May, and basically their job from Bing is to release these stats on a weekly on their site, just to give us an idea of where Yahoo click volume served is going to be. And the whole thing is that they want to showcase the fact that both Yahoo and Bing are working together, and that Yahoo is getting also some exposure based on this renegotiation. Because if you do remember, we discussed this a few weeks back. Everybody's thinking that Bing is getting the best out of the deal. So I guess now they're kind of working together to share weekly updated Yahoo ads on Bing site. So Amalia, I'm not sure if you had something else
Uh,
there.
no, no, thank you. I'm so sorry. I was actually continuing to speak, and I guess I just lost connection, so my apologies, and I do thank you for taking over, Armando.
Okay, yeah, and then the chart. Perhaps you want to just see this chart in regards to
Mm-hmm.
what it measures on a weekly basis, and the whole point from our perspective at WSI should be the fact that if you have a client that's uh, that's relying on Google AdWords, and for some reason the campaign may or may not be working on, or there are areas of improvement, or the campaign has maxed out its reach, has hit a ceiling, because you know what, the budget that you have can only get X amount of clicks, you can only achieve a specific cost per click. Well, you know what, there may be a chance for you to investigate either looking at Bing ads or Yahoo ads, because you know what, specifically in North America, these two companies are putting both Yahoo and Bing are are, 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 are are putting a lot of pressure or a lot of resources towards companies, and specifically the B2Bs and B2Cs, to spend on their search engine. So it's an opportunity, right? I know that the first initial step of paid search typically tends to be Google AdWords, but it's also good to keep in mind Yahoo and Bing as well. Okay, and you can see that they're working towards always making the relationship better. Okay, okay, perfect. The other thing that I wanted to share with you. Oh, sorry, Amalia. I think we're getting some feedback. Give me a quick second. I think Amalia's having challenges. But the other thing that I wanted to share with you, it's in regards to an interesting article that I think that at this stage we should acknowledge it, we should review it. We don't have to make changes right away, but it's something that I think that as consultants we have to keep in mind. And one of these things is the aspect of long search queries versus one or two search queries, right? So what is happening right now? This was a great article in Search Engine Watch. Is in regards to the growth in numbers of long tail terms, right? So in the past years, short terms, maybe one or two keyword phrases were very popular for optimization, but as the internet grows, as more and more information grows, as Google continues to change their algorithms, as users become more knowledgeable and educated in searching, as now we have the let's say the dawn of voice search, long tail terms are becoming the norm, or will become the norm. So it's something that you have to perhaps not take action today again, but something that you should be looking in your keyword research and working with your suppliers, not just focusing on one keyword term or two keyword terms in your keyword research, but also looking at long tail terms. Now, this is also very important for you to educate the client. Okay, so it's not just for an internal review or how you will be able to generate results for your clients, but it's also to educate your clients, because sometimes clients, all they want to do is be ranking number one for one keyword, right? Versus a keyword phrase, or a keyword phrase that is long tail, right? So it's also very important for you to take this into account. So I wanted to share this very quickly in regards to why this is becoming the norm, and why search queries are becoming longer, and why you should keep it in mind. Fundamental change number one in Google, the way Google interprets data today versus a few years back, where in the past, they actually broke apart user queries into its fundamental components, so hence keywords. And in those times, sites that had the most keywords matching the user's query will rank on top. As we know, that doesn't exist because it led to black hat SEO, people abusing the system, right? So what now it happens is what Google uses a process called semantic search. And what this process actually does, it analyzes the intention of, so remember here, it analyzes the intention of a user's query. So that intention is analyzed first, then searches for sites whose capabilities make them good, and then obviously serves them. Okay, so it's not just based solely on keyword or stuffing keywords into a website, which is still a practice. And it's interesting that when you look at meta content for many sites that we inherit from other companies, they're still stuffing them with a lot of keywords. So it's very important that as a result, users are finding the traditional short keyword-based queries to be less effective at getting relevant results than longer. So what they're doing is they're using more conversational queries. This is the second point, because when a person is actually searching for, let's say, a blue sweater or red Nikes or a legal aid, it's such a short phrase. Now it's geo-targeted, right? It can even go to a local level. It can actually specialize. So what users are doing, they're using longer keyword terms. And one of the key things that has happened because of voice search and the idea of mobile, they're actually now looking at conversational queries. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. As a matter of fact, one of the findings that they did throughout this the creation of this article was that many users are asking full specific questions rather than searching for a general topic. I tend to do this. So if I'm looking for a definition for, let's say, the other day I was doing a definition for donor acquisition, right? I didn't just type in donor acquisition. I actually typed this, what is donor acquisition? I also wanted to know donor acquisition rate. I typed, what is donor acquisition rate? I actually typed this into my desktop. So as you can see, people are actually using more specific questions in their searches. So that will definitely have an impact on keyword research as well and the way you optimize. So again, another factor why this is happening, why people are using longer search queries, is because of the sheer amount of information. So there's so much information out there, everything is clutter. Users are forced to come up with longer, more specific queries. Okay, you gotta think also when you're doing your keyword research. Put yourself in the position of the client's users, the client's target market, their buyer personas, right? Mobile devices and voice searches, again, that's another reason why people are also using longer term queries as well. Because people are sometimes not used to typing on their mobile devices, or some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. So from a dexterity standpoint, and the different screen sizes, they will just use their personal digital assistants like Apple Siri's, which is obviously voice-based searching, or Google's, right? So more people are using voice functionality to run their searches, and because of this, more queries are becoming conversational and informal. Okay, doesn't mean that today you're going to go and start changing all of your SEO strategy. It's just that to keep in mind in next time you refresh your keywords, or if you're doing a new client, perhaps you want to kind of take that into consideration. Maybe do a blend of your standard 80% keywords that are 2-3 keyword phrases, and then maybe do 20% that are more conversational to test them out. That's what I would recommend. Now, how you can take actions for your clients. Okay, so this is some of the solutions. Number one, elimination of keyword-based strategies. And here we're talking not necessarily about our standard keyword research, but more about stuffing your sites, your client sites, with with keywords in their titles, the descriptions, and just in their articles. So everything is associated with keyword stuffing, overdoing it, no longer a practice. Pretty much borderline black hat SEO, as a matter of fact, because in some cases, overstuffing it can actually lead to penalization. Okay, long tail keyword optimization. So again, try to focus a little bit on maybe doing 2-3 keyword phrases, or maybe 2 keyword phrases plus geo target, or 2 to 3 keyword phrases plus geo target, or maybe, like I said, use some conversational keyword phrases as well. Now, the last thing that you want to focus is that when you're doing your content, you don't want to just focus on the keyword, but what you want to do is showcase the area of expertise, your client's area, right? You want to make, again, it's tied into the content marketing strategy where content should be created using a proper content marketing plan, a content marketing calendar. So that way, you are targeting a specific niche and you're focusing and narrowing down what your users are looking for, right? You're providing valuable content. Now, if you do this and you're addressing this, obviously that will make, Google clearly understands the purpose and position of your company, right? Then as a result, of doing this properly, the likelihood of your site getting better rankings, which will equate to more organic search traffic in Google, organic traffic, is to have a proper strategy together. So I wanted to share this article, very important. Again, we don't have to do knee-jerk effects on your existing SEO strategies, but it is something that you have to keep in mind as you're working or refreshing your clients' keyword research and keyword strategies. So anyhow, I wanted to share that with you as well. A great article by Search Engine Watch. If you want to get a copy, let us know and we'll send you the link. Okay, excellent. So I would like to introduce to you Tom Kuthy. He's actually uh, an IC with WSI, one of the top earning ICs, well, he actually was based in Nevada. Well, he was based in Nevada, now he's in Fresno. And over the past 5 years, he has specialized in finding, selling, and delivering solutions to mid-sized and larger clients. So today's webinar, he's going to be joining us and talking a little bit about what are the best business practices in prescribing and pricing a digital marketing solution. As a result of his success, he created WSI's high-end consulting training for ICs, for WSI ICs exclusively, and many ICs have benefited from his training. And I wanted to invite him today to prescribe and to give us some recommendations on providing solutions for prospects and existing clients if you're looking at upselling them. So, Tom?
Thanks, Armando. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you for being with us.
Okay. Well, if you can make me the presenter, I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
take over here.
Okay, so yeah, I made you the presenter already, so you should have access.
All right. Let me know when you can see my presentation.
There we go. We can see it clearly.
Okay. Well, very good. So let's jump into this. What I want to do is first give you a little bit of an overview of a three-step sales process that I use. It's just an overview. I actually go much deeper into this when I do the training, but I want to kind of show you where pricing and the prescription of a solution sort of fit into the overall sales process. I also want to briefly talk about how to get the information you need in your IBA and actually share a copy of my IBA with you. Then I'll talk about how to develop what I call a bullseye recommendation. This is really where you're prescribing a digital marketing solution for your clients. And then I want to talk about how to execute what I call value-based pricing and specifically go over what I think are 8 cues to help you determine the right price for your client. And then at the end, we should have about 5-10 minutes for questions. So a key insight that I learned, I didn't make this up, but I learned this from studying sales training from some third-party sales trainers, is that most salespeople fail to make the sale because they spend too little time finding out what the prospect needs before they try to sell them something. And I think this is true throughout WSI. I know it was true for me early on in my career with WSI. And so I made a conscious effort to develop an IBA that would get me all the information I need to actually prescribe a good solution for a client. And so what I've done is I've kind of created this little graphic of how to proceed through the sale process. And it's a 3-step process. And the idea is to move from a vague idea of what the client might want to a precision proposal that exactly addresses the most urgent need that the client has and prices it appropriately. So to get through this process here, there's 3 steps. One is, of course, the IBA, which is what I call comprehensive discovery. Okay, you're discovering information about the client. The next step is to prepare a bullseye recommendation and take the client through that, or the prospect at this point. And then once the prospect is nodding his head and saying, yes, this is the right solution, then you actually write up the proposal. And that step is going to lead you to a sale. So I have 4 goals for an IBA when I conduct one with my prospects. First, I need to understand the prospect's business. And sometimes this is easy. If it's a dentist or something like this, it's pretty straightforward. But if it's a mid-sized manufacturing company that makes a certain kind of machinery that they sell to other businesses, you really don't know anything about that. So you have to understand the prospect's business. The second thing you want to understand in your IBA is the opportunity for leveraging digital marketing for the prospect. And you can't understand this until you understand the prospect's business itself. So if the prospect is a business-to-business company, for example, that sells a certain kind of product, you need to understand who the target market is, how they usually find information out about that product, and how you can therefore leverage digital marketing to get that information into the prospect's customers' hands. The third thing I want to understand in my IBA is the value of addressing the opportunity for the client. And this may not be as straightforward as you may think. For some of the clients that I work with, B2B clients, one single new sale might be worth as much as $60,000 to them. Okay? So if you can get them 10 sales, you can drive $600,000 worth of profit. Other of my clients have an average sale value of $40. 10 sales are only going to get them $400. So you want to understand the value of addressing this opportunity for the client. And that's very important, especially in terms of pricing. And then finally, at the end of my IBA meeting, I make a decision about whether I want to pursue a second meeting or not. Okay? The client also, or the prospect also makes that decision. And hopefully, if you've done a good job with your IBA and your credentials presentation, they're going to say yes, and hopefully it's a good prospect and you're going to say yes, and you're going to go about having a second meeting. So I get all of these goals accomplished through this 15-question IBA that I've created. And I share this with folks during the prospect review webinars. In fact, I'm doing a prospect review webinar next week. So I thought I'd offer to share it with you all as well. Just shoot me an email at tkuthy@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to send this IBA to you. So the last question in this IBA is what I call the magic wand question. And this is the most important question in the IBA. And so my last question in the IBA, I asked the prospect, if I could wave a magic wand and perfect your online marketing, what would it look like when I'm done? Okay? This is a very open-ended question, very open-ended question. And what you're trying to find out is what their hot button is. Okay? What is it that's right on the top of their mind that they really want to get fixed in their digital marketing? And they'll give this to you. Okay? If you just relax and wait for their answer and take notes, they will tell you exactly what they want you to do for their digital marketing. And so this is a great starting point for prescribing a digital marketing solution. All right, so that was a very brief overview of what I do in the first meeting with the IBA and so forth. But after you get that hot button, now it's time to recommend what I call a bullseye solution or a bullseye recommendation. So you've now done your discovery. Okay, you've achieved the goals that you set out for the IBA. What are you going to recommend? What are you going to prescribe to solve their problem? So 3 decisions need to be made to come up with a bullseye recommendation. The first one is, which core strategy is right for this prospect? Okay, which core strategy, and I'll go over 3 different core strategies in a minute, but what's the right marketing strategy for the client? Number 2, which of our services, and we offer lots of services as you know, is the right way to deliver against the core strategy that this prospect needs. And then finally, last but not least, how much should we charge for that service? So these are the three things you want to think about after your IBA meeting. When I went through THO training, this was about 5 years ago, so things change rapidly in this. They may not teach this anymore, but I found it to be particularly valuable when I went through training is that WSI has 3 core strategies. The first one is online lead and sales generation. The second one is online brand credibility and exposure. And the third one is online prospect and client communication. So basically, we're using online or digital marketing to generate leads, to improve brand credibility and exposure online, or to communicate with prospects and clients. So these are 3 different things that we can do, 3 different strategies, if you will, that we can deliver against. Well, most of the time, okay, when you ask this magic wand question, they were going to tell you which strategy they want to follow. And it's usually, but not always, more leads and more sales. Okay, so after my first couple of years in business, I was going through all my meetings with all my prospects, and they kept saying leads and sales, leads and sales. I thought, well, how come nobody wants these 2? How come nobody wants these? It wasn't that nobody wanted them. Occasionally someone said, I need a new website. I'm dying out there. My website's terrible. Well, that's this. Okay. Occasionally they'd say, well, yeah, I want to do social media. Social media is supposed to be all so good. I want to try some social media. Well, that's what this is. But most of the time they were talking about this. And so I finally realized that more leads and more sales is the ultimate goal of all of these strategies, okay? Because better brand credibility and communicating with customers are really just a means to generate more leads and sales. You don't want to do social media just to do social media. You want to do social media to generate leads and sales. And you don't want to improve your website just so you have a pretty website. You want to have a website that better generates leads and sales. So the bottom line is this is the uber strategy, if you will. The ultimate strategy is more leads and more sales. Okay, so the second decision, after you determined from the magic wand question, what is the prospect's hot button? Like I said, it's usually more leads and more sales. Then you can go to this little chart that Francois Muscat created, and is a great chart, by the way. I'd be happy to send that to you as well with the IBA if you want to send to tkuthy@gmail.com. You can use this chart to determine which service that we need. Okay, so here, let's just say it's acquire leads or sales. You can follow this little red line down here, and it says, hey, pay-per-click and SEO are great for that. Okay, they both have a full circle. That means it's a high priority. Okay, so if somebody says leads and sales, you should be thinking PPC and SEO. You can also be thinking email marketing. Email marketing. These 3 are less direct ways for doing leads and sales. If the client says, hey, I want to improve my brand and credibility, okay, SEO is a high priority there, although I think SEO is actually more effective here. But content marketing, okay, content marketing, you're improving your credibility. Social media, website, and email marketing, okay? There's a lot of different ways to improve your brand credibility. Communicate and stay in touch. Well, all of a sudden you're getting into email, social, website, and so forth. Okay? So this is a very useful tool for helping prescribe your solution. And so since this acquiring leads is usually sort of the uber goal, a lot of my effort is focused in this area. So here's another key insight that I had in probably about year 2 of my business. I realized that PPC and SEO accomplish exactly the same thing. Okay, PPC and SEO do exactly the same thing. If you do SEO right, you get your client on the first page of Google. PPC gets you on the first page of Google. So how should I decide which of these 2 I should propose, okay, PPC or SEO. And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, there's something that's very important that I should be thinking about is how does this impact my bottom line? And so I came up with this particular chart, and this chart has really, really impacted my business profitability. We have four main services, okay, in my opinion: PPC, web development, SEO, and pure consulting. Okay, these are the main services. We have all sorts of other little niche services and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, if you were to look at the total revenue that comes in from ICs all over the world, probably 80 to 90% of it would come in these four areas. So let's look at a term that I've coined here called the gross margin on budget dollars. Okay? Gross margin on budget dollars is not a generally accepted accounting principle. It's a term that I made up. And let's assume you have a hypothetical client that has a monthly budget of $2,500. And let's say you sell them on pay-per-click. Well, if you sell them on pay-per-click, you're probably going to take $2,000 of that client's budget and put it on Google or Yahoo and Bing. And you're going to have about $500 left for you. So your margin on that is going to be about 20%. Now let's say instead you sell them a website and it takes 4 months to do that website. Okay? Well, you're going to collect $10,000, 4 months worth of their budget, and you're probably going to end up spending about $5,000 with a production center. Okay? So the amount left for you is going to be about 50% of that amount of money. Okay? Now let's say you sell them on SEO. And remember, SEO does exactly the same thing as PPC. Okay? You can get a pretty good SEO package from a company like WSI ALM for about $750. That's going to leave you $1,750, or about 70% of the margin in your pocket. And let's say you just sold them on a pure consulting approach. Maybe you're helping them with a digital marketing strategy, or an overall content marketing strategy, or just pure consulting. Well, 100% of that goes into your budget, or into your pocket. So my business is now about 90% concentrated in these two areas. And that keeps my margins very high, and I don't need so many clients in order to make a really good and very profitable business. So what I do then is, and this is how I prescribe my clients or my prospects what I recommend to them. I pick the one service that best addresses the need they identified in the magic wand question. And because it's one service, it makes it as easy as possible for them to give us a try. Okay? We're new to this prospect. They don't know us. If I present 5 different products to them, okay, I want to do PPC and email and content marketing and SEO, and I want to do this, well, it confuses them. It makes it more difficult to give them a try. So I recommend one service, best addresses it, and makes me the most profit. Okay? And 9 times out of 10, this is SEO for me. So I've kind of specialized in SEO for that reason. The third decision that you need to make is how much to charge. Right? Before you can make a bullseye recommendation, you have to come up with the proper pricing. And this is a common area of uncertainty for most ICs, and you'll never know this for sure. Okay? This is an art and a science. It's not a something that you can look up in some manual and determine how much to charge. But you can get a better pricing if you think about it. So most pricing goes wrong for ICs in 2 different areas. I call them the markup approach and the hourly approach. And when I was doing my calls with other ICs before I joined WSI, I asked them all this question: well, how do you decide what to price your solution at? And the 2 most common answers I got were the markup approach and the hourly approach. And so the markup approach is, I take the production center pricing and I double it. Okay, I get it. You're going to make 50% margin on that. And production centers have reasonable prices, so you can make a good profit, have a nice product, a nice price and so forth. Okay, I get that. Another IC told me, well, I price my services to make sure I make $100 an hour. So this IC estimated how much work this project was going to be and added $100 on top of $100 per hour on top of the production center pricing. Well, the issue with both of these approaches is they have absolutely nothing to do with the prospect. Okay? Neither of these takes into account the prospect when the price is decided. The second issue that they have is they limit your upside earnings. What if you could sell this for 4 times the production center pricing? Shouldn't you do that? What if you should price your project to get $300 an hour? Shouldn't you do that? Okay, in many cases, I'm at exactly those prices because I can still deliver a good value to the client at that pricing level. So what we need to understand is what is the value of your service that you're going to deliver to your client, and what can you reasonably charge based on delivering that value to the client. And the way that you do this is through what I call value-based pricing, by looking for cues from your prospect or your client as where to set your pricing to get it just right. So there are actually 8 external cues that I've identified to optimize my pricing. The first and the very most important, if there's one thing that you remember from this presentation, remember this, that the value of a single sale is the most important key to determining your pricing. So I have clients, I have Woodford, which is a manufacturer of outdoor faucets. They sell for about $40. Okay, another client that's online e-commerce site, $85 average sale. Another online e-commerce site, $125. Bethesda, if I can put a new person into their senior living communities, they pay $3,000 a month. Loyola, if I can get them a new student, it's worth about $40,000 a year to them. I have a commercial concrete contractor that does $1 million and up jobs. Okay, so a Conco will pay me more for a single good prospect than Woodford will pay me for 100 sales. Okay, in fact, we're charging Conco a very, very high monthly retainer, and they're thrilled with our work. Okay, so if you understand this, you can really understand exactly where your pricing can be in terms of the value. If I can get one new job for Conco, they make $1 million on that. That's a good deal. The next thing you want to look at is the title and the background of the prospect. So we all grew up typically in some kind of a business world. Okay? What I find is that those that have accounting or manufacturing backgrounds have focused almost all of their careers on cost reduction. That's what they've gotten paid for. Okay? Reducing the cost of manufacturing a product. Accountants like to save money for their clients. So they're going to be very price sensitive. They're going to focus on the price and say, how can I reduce that price? Whereas marketing and sales backgrounds typically are less price sensitive. Their key metric that they're focusing on is increasing sales. So check your prospects out in LinkedIn before you decide how to price. If they're accounting and manufacturing, be very careful. They're going to want a very good price. If they're marketing and sales, you can get away with a little higher price. Cue number 3 is what I call the X factor. And this is something I found out from Chuck Bancock out of California when I was doing my IC calls before I joined. And I asked him the question, well, how do you price your services? He says, well, I use the X factor. I said, oh, what's the X factor? He said, is the guy wearing a Rolex or a Timex? Okay, a Rolex, of course, is a very expensive watch. A Timex is a cheap watch. So Chuck at least was looking at the client and determining whether or not he was prosperous or not. And that's how he was deciding his pricing. There's a lot of different ways of using this X factor idea. You can use it by looking at their offices. Does their office look like this, or does it look like this? Okay, what kind of computer and printer do they have? What kind of furniture do they have? All right, so you can get an idea of how prosperous a business is by using this X factor. Number 4, the size of the client and the type of the industry. Even medium-sized clients will spend millions of dollars on manufacturing, and on marketing. And typically manufacturers and service providers have higher margins than retailers or wholesalers. Online retailers, though, are the exception to the rule. They have a lot of money to spend, and they have definitely got more money to spend than brick and mortar retailers. For-profit businesses usually have more to spend than nonprofits. I have had several nonprofits. Very difficult to price high with them. For-profits, obviously a lot more easy. Cue number 5, marketing as a percent of sales. If you use the IBA that I've got, you should get a good ballpark on the prospect's total sales. Let's say their total sales is 10 million. Okay, marketing-oriented companies will spend as much as 10 to 20% of their sales on marketing. Okay, so if they have a $10 million in revenue and they're spending 10 to 20%, they might be spending 1 to 2 million on marketing. Well, maybe your digital marketing could be as high as $100,000 in that case, right? Non-marketing companies like wholesalers, for example, might only spend 1%, okay, or 5%. If that's the case, you could probably only charge $10,000 for your services. So ask yourself, how much of this client's budget should be spent on this particular proposal that you're giving to them? Cue number 6, the cost of finding an alternative, right? This applies mostly for upsell pricing. When you have a client and they're engaged with you, okay, they've already used your services, they like you, the timing is tight, they need another service right away, they don't know anyone else in the field, you can price it a little bit higher, okay? But if they're doing an RFP and they're evaluating 10 different vendors, you're going to have to give your lowest possible price. So the cost of finding an alternative at the moment is another cue that you want to keep in mind. And cue number 7, the state of the business. If the business is bad, they actually may have a lot of pain and be willing to spend a lot of money. So just because business is bad, don't say, oh, I'm not going to give them a high price. They told me their business is doing really bad at the moment. They may be willing to spend to dig out from that, okay? But if business is really, really bad, they may have zero money to spend. So you kind of have to understand where exactly they are and how bad their business is. And finally, this is very related to the number 7, the degree of pain, okay? I have an old friend who's a very good salesman. He used to tell me, how bad does it hurt? Okay, how much would you be willing to pay for one aspirin or whatever pain reliever you take if you have a splitting headache? Well, you're going to pay a lot, okay? You really want to get that headache gone. But how about when you're restocking your medicine cabinet at home? Well, you're going to buy the cheapest brand on sale at the drugstore, okay? So you want to know how bad it hurts when you're doing this as well. So in summary, these are the 8 cues to value-based pricing, okay? If you review your client in regards to this, you can decide pretty accurately how much money this client is going to be willing to pay. And then finally, you do want to consider some of your own internal factors. After you decide what you think the optimal price is from the client's perspective, consider what this business will mean for you and adjust your price up or down from there. In the 4th quarter of 2014, I was so busy with my current clients I couldn't see straight, but I got an opportunity to pitch a really good client. Well, I took the opportunity, but I priced it like stratospherically high because the only way I wanted to take that client is if I got a huge price, okay? So my factor was, I'm so busy, I don't want to take a client if they're only going to pay me my minimum. I want a huge price to take it. All right? So adjust yourself up or down from there. And some of the factors I think about is it going to build out your client list? I had an opportunity to work with Michael Stores, which is a $5 billion company. I really wanted that. I actually priced that one low. Will it improve your capabilities? Okay, maybe a new service that you want to try out. Maybe you want to try out HubSpot or something, and you could want a client to do that. You could go a little lower. Do you like that kind of work? I like SEO. I don't like web development. I price my web development projects very high because the only reason I take it is if they're willing to pay me a fortune. Will it lead to more work? I mean, sometimes I'll take a very small project because it's a big client and I want to get my foot in the door. And finally, very tactically, how is your month looking? Okay, I mean, you really need a client? Well, go ahead and take it. Price it low. So in summary, you should use the IBA to your advantage by finding out the value of solving the client's problem. And you can get that 15-question IBA if you like it. And you can use the cues of value-based pricing to get your pricing just right. And then use your internal factors to adjust it up or down from there. So we have a few more minutes, and I can stay a little bit longer than the top of the hour. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has at this point.
Thank you, Tom. I mean, this is a lot of good information, and as I said in the beginning, is if you can take a few gold nuggets from this, whether it's from the AQs or how to effectively guide your prospect through the IBA, that's definitely something that you can deploy right away to with your clients. So just looking here at the questions, if we have anything. Definitely, if like you mentioned, if they want to, if an IC would like to get a handle or a copy of the IBA, they can email you directly, correct?
Yeah, and if you want to type that in the chat box for them too, or maybe Amalia can do that, then it'll make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just getting a lot of, at this stage, not a lot of questions, but a lot of positive feedback. Spot on, right on. Yep, big business is where it's at. So not so many questions. So I guess if you have any questions related, one of the questions that I get a lot, Tom, maybe you can help me, is in regards to using your IBA. How do you typically ask the budget question, or how do you position the budget question? I know some ICs, the way they do it is they actually, little by little, they start kind of pre-qualifying them through the IBA, getting to the nitty-gritty of the budget. But how would you recommend an IC, a new IC, tackle the budget question?
Yeah, so I believe it or not, I'm actually kind of shy on the budget question. I almost never ask the budget question, believe it or not.
Interesting.
But I do qualify them in a different way. What I want to find out is how much is their sales. Okay? And a lot of prospects won't tell you that, but I have a two-step approach that I find to be pretty effective. So I'll ask them, what's the average value of a sale for you? Okay, usually they'll tell me that. They don't mind just saying that. It's not all that confidential. And they'll say, oh, well, it's $50 or it's $500 or, how much do you charge in tuition if it's a university, or, what's a new prospect worth to you, and things like that. So I ask it in different ways based on the type of the sentence. And then I say, my next question would be, well, typically how many new clients do you get in a year? Or typically how many transactions do you do in a given month? Well, and if you get those two pieces of information, you get the average value of a sale and the average number of transactions per month, all of a sudden you know what their monthly sales are and you can figure it out. And so then if I say, oh, wow, this company's got 10 million in sales, I know I can go pretty aggressive. But if I figure out, oh, this company only has 500,000 in sales, I better be very careful about how much I propose because it's a very, very small company. The other thing I do when I make my bullseye presentation is I calculate what the estimated number of new sales they might be able to get from my services are. Okay? And then, so I say, hey, if this works the way I think it's going to work, you're going to get $1 million in sales, and I'm only charging you $40,000 for this solution. They look at that, and that blows the budget out of the water. They may not have $40,000, but they can go get it if they think they're going to get $1 million in sales. So I don't want them to tell me that their budget is $20,000 when in fact I could give them a project that they should pay $40,000 for. Because I came back, they told me $20,000 in my first meeting, and I came back and I recommended this program that's going to charge $40,000. I'll say, well, I told you I only have $20,000. Why are you going $40,000? So I want to let them see my price number in the context of the amount of actual sales they're going to get and evaluate it then, not in the context of some budget that they give me.
Okay, perfect. Excellent, Tom. Now I have Howard Albin here also saying, great presentation, Tom. Can you demonstrate an actual example of how you priced a client opportunity? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm working jointly with an IC in Connecticut by the name of Paula Sanderson on a manufacturer of specialty light bulbs. Okay, and this company makes fluorescent light bulbs, and it makes ultraviolet light bulbs and so forth for different industrial applications. And they actually sell it to other businesses that create products that use these light bulbs. So they sell to what are called original equipment manufacturers. And in the IBA, I found out that they have over 1,000 employees, and they have over $100 million in sales, and they sell all around the world. Okay, so this is obviously a big client. Then I asked them the key question, well, how much is an average company purchase from you per year? And they told me it's about $60,000 to $80,000. Okay, so if they get one new original equipment manufacturer, or OEM, they can get 60 to 80,000 in sales from that. So we put together an SEO proposal for them, and the total cost of the proposal was about $65,000, and they signed up for it. Okay, so and the reason they signed up for it is because they said, boy, if this proposal just gets us one new customer, it'll pay for itself. Now, we're probably getting them at least one or maybe even two customers per month. We're now well into this program. So they're getting a really good ROI on this. So you might ask, well, why didn't you price this at, $150,000? Well, we probably could have, and we probably could have gotten an ROI for them at $150,000. But at a certain point, they might say, wow, $150,000 a year, maybe we should just hire a couple of SEOs in-house. Okay, so I'm running up against the cost of finding an alternative, which is actually hiring people to do what we're doing. So you have to balance, you have to use all 8 of those cues in conjunction to come up with a price that's both going to deliver a good ROI, profitable for you, and not run up against the cost of an alternative.
Excellent, Tom. Excellent. Great answer. Howard also says, thank you very much. Excellent, Tom. The other question that I had, actually very similar questions from 2 different ICs, is in regards to your own lead generation. I mean, obviously, ICs, did try different lead generations, whether it's appointment setting companies, calling, having your own internal appointment booker, social selling, networking. How do you typically tend to find success in your lead generation strategy? What are those tactics or methods?
Yeah, so there are really 2 things that have been the most successful for me. I teach a session to the QSP course on lead generation, and there are about 9 or 10 different approaches that I go over, and I try them all as a new IC. Okay, and so I look at them in different buckets. I look at them in terms of networking is one bucket, and there's you can use BNI, you can use Chamber of Commerce, you can use other networking groups, you can do kind of different organizations, etc. So that's one bucket. The other bucket is what I call outbound marketing. And in outbound marketing, you can do telemarketing, you can do direct mail, you can do email marketing, you can do kind of content marketing, and so forth. Okay, so those are the 2 broad areas. What I have found to be most effective for me has been telemarketing. And I've actually pioneered a telemarketing resource called IntelliMark. And they're based in Phoenix, Arizona. They serve the U.S. and Canada. They're very expensive. It costs about $300 per appointment. But it's been the most effective way that I've found to get into the type of clients that I'm looking for, which are mid-sized clients, at least $5 million in revenue, and preferably $10 million in revenue and above. Okay, that works very well. They're actually being evaluated to be brought in as an official production center for WSI. They've been working for me and my class members for over 2 years now, and they've set over 900 appointments for us. Okay, so for that type of client, these mid-sized clients, I find that Telemark does a very good job, and whenever I need clients, that's what I do. The second way that I've been able to kind of avoid lead generation is focus on upsell. Okay, people kind of often overlook upsell, but many of our clients can be sold additional services or additional rounds of SEO or add-on PPC or add-on, HubSpot or whatever it might be, add-on conversion optimization. So what I do is I treat my clients very well. I give them results. I measure their results, and when the results are looking good, I go in for the upsell. And that's just like a new sales presentation. It's just like a new lead, only you have a much better chance at getting that lead. So those are my two favorite, is appointment setting and upselling. I happen to hate networking. I'm not very good at it. I'm not a super social person. But many of my students have done a really good job with networking. And it's a very, very successful tactic if you're good at it and if you practice it regularly. But what I like about appointment setting more than anything else is I can scale it. When in mid-2012, I lost 4 clients at the same time, which was the majority of my business. I turned on appointment setting for 7 months in a row. Okay, I generated probably about 35 second meetings out of that, and I closed 5 pieces of business out of that, and it got all my business back exactly to where I was in the middle of 2012 in 7 months. And the reason that I like appointment setting so much is it's scalable, okay? Meaning I can invest as much as I want. I could get 100 appointments a month if I had enough money and enough time to handle it. Okay, there's no other tactic out there that can do it that fast. It is expensive. That round of appointment setting cost me $15,000, but it was worth it. I got well over $100,000 in business out of that round of appointment setting.
Thank you, Tom. No, that's great. And two key things that you just highlighted is obviously the upfront level of investment and continuous level of investment with appointment setting, as well as that you have to be consistent and patient in regards to launching that campaign and waiting for it, because as you mentioned, it took a few months before you actually got to close the deals, right? It wasn't you turn on appointment setting today and in 45 days or 60 days your clients are coming. It actually took you about 5 months, you mentioned, to start kind of recouping and plus, right, making the money or winning the new clients. So I think that that's one thing that sometimes ICs need to also understand, is that any lead generation that you try out does take time, some of it more than others, but you have to be consistent and stick to it in order for you to really test it, right? So no, that makes validates some of the things that we share with the ICs as well. So thank you, Tom. In the last question, I know that we're running 10 minutes, but everybody's now asking the question is, do you qualify your clients before even reaching out to a prospect? So whether you're doing appointment booking or using telemark as a lead generation company, or any other lead source or lead that you get through a different source, do you qualify them before even reaching out to them? Meaning that you take some of those questions, those Q questions, and do some preliminary qualification before reaching out to a prospect.
Typically not. Okay, and the reason I don't is because my appointments are in some ways pre-qualified, because I've selected the list of people that I have in telemark call for me based on public data about the company, which is usually right. It's not 100% right. But so I'm picking businesses that have 5 or 10 million in sales and above and have either 10 or 20 employees and above. Okay, and so what I'm getting is, if I've got a company that's stated that they have 20 employees and 10 million in sales, I pretty much know they're qualified. Okay, so I never will do any pre-qualification. If they're willing to meet with me, and that's the way they're listed publicly, that's good enough for me. Okay, so most of my appointments are, in a sense, pre-qualified that way. Now, if I just get a call, a random call off my website, I will do some pre-qualification. I'll say, oh, well, tell me a little bit about your business. How many employees do you have? How long have you been in business? What kind of customers do you serve? Just very basic stuff. And, they say, well, it's my wife and I, we work out of our basement and, we sell beads and jewelry for $5 each time we sell it. I'm like, well, I'm probably not the right resource for you. Okay, and so I will do some pre-qualification that way if I don't know them at all.
Thank you, Tom. No, that's great. Okay, so again, thank you, Tom, for being with us today. Any of the ICs that are attending or were late, we will have the presentation on our YouTube channel, and definitely you can go and recap some of Tom's gold nuggets. If you want to reach out to Tom, again, Tom Kuthy, T Kuthy, sorry, at gmail.com, 775-276-3994. Thank you, Tom, for being with us and sharing some of your key best business practices. I know I learned a couple of new things, and I'm pretty sure, well, many new things as a matter of fact, and I'm pretty sure some of the ICs in the class as well. So again, thank you. Again, many thanks from all the ICs. Tom, I'm getting a lot of good positive feedback. And again, also just to remind that Tom does have the high consulting training for those. I know that we've received some really positive reviews from ICs that have trained with Tom, and it's really on the training and the implementation. So again, thank you, Tom, for being
Thank you,
being
Armando. Appreciate inviting me too. So
well.
thanks a lot.
Hopefully, we can have another one in the near future with different topics as you bring a lot of wealth of information. So always open to having you join us. So again, thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye. For everyone, thank you for joining us, and definitely look forward to our next week. And have yourself a great week. We'll be at the original training in New Jersey in the next 2 days. So hopefully, I'll get to meet some of the ICs that are listening today. Again, Armando and Amalia signing off. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.